Yes, I came across the easiest beignet recipe I could ever find using fresh cheese. Would you believe this? I didn't even know it was possible. This recipe is about 3 ingredients mixed together and then you put it in a deep fryer. It is ultra simple. What I liked about it is that it brings something new to the table because fresh cheese can be used, ricotta, cottage cheese, fromage blanc, and you get a kind of a sweet and a savory beignet rolled in sugar. Who's not gonna like that, especially during the 14th of July? You want to try those, let's go. Now I have to say that I'm always on the lookout for an easy donut or beignet recipe because most of the time it seems to be really complicated. And when I came across that one, I was like, wait a minute, look at the ingredients. It's really not much at all. So what we have is only flour, sugar, eggs, and fresh cheese. So of course, let me say that there's always a catch. France has got very specific produce. The real thing we use normally is fromage blanc, which is the equivalent of cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is what I've kind of used. It's not the same exactly, but let's say it was going to be the next best thing. If you're not in France, it's going to be very hard to find some fromage blanc. So we're going to be using cottage cheese, and I'm pretty sure it is going to work. You could even use ricotta, I think, quark, which is sometimes the Dutch or German version, but it is a kind of a fresh cheese. But that's all what you need, a few utensils, mix everything together, and then we're going to be done, of course. I have to say that sometimes it is a bit refreshing to find a recipe in the world of French cooking that is really easy and fast to make. So let's take a little break, a bit of a breather here. All what we need is a bowl. We're going to use about 250 grams of fresh cheese. I put it in a fine mesh sieve to remove the excess of water. And all what we're going to do here is to work this with some sugar and then the egg. So first we're going to incorporate this nicely. So we want the sugar to dissolve a little bit. Okay, you want it to melt. Nice and sweet, but not too much. So one of the differences you have with the fromage blanc and cottage cheese and other things is that you see these little bits of cheese. That's not the usual for the fromage blanc. The fromage blanc is a very smooth affair. So I'm going to use a whisk and I'm going to try to break things down a little bit. So with this, we're going to use the eggs. But the eggs, out of the two, we use one whole egg and the other one is just the egg yolk. Okay, and that's what I've got in here. And same thing here. We're just going to incorporate everything. So we have a nice mixture. You can use a whisk as well if you want. Up to you. So you see, I've used a whisk because for me, for the whisking, it's nice. So you get something quite liquid. And the last step, because we're almost done, it's only to sift the flour over. Go to my flour in here. And bit by bit, I'm going to go like this, put everything in, and then we're going to mix again. Let's go. So slowly. We want to have a batter, okay, remember it's kind of a beignet, that is kind of solid, not runny like a crepe batter, because we're going to have to use this and put this in a deep fryer. Okay, so we need to take all the flour around, get everything so we get that consistency that we want. And now there's something very important. The old recipe that we have in France, they talk in eggs, but the size of the egg vary. So for instance, I've got maybe large eggs on here, and you can see the batter is still runny. We need to imagine that you need to drop this into a fryer, even though we're going to have to leave it to rest for an hour so that it's going to stabilize with the flour. But here, as you can see, I'm going to have to add a bit of extra flour. And I want to show you the consistency we want. But it's not rocket science. But you need to imagine that if you make this at home, okay, that you need to have something that is not runny, that you can spoon and drop into a deep fryer so that it doesn't go into little bits and pieces everywhere. It needs to stay as one bowl of dough. Okay, so I'm going to keep on going. Now I'm finished. Let's have a look. You can see when I'm using my spatula, I'm cleaning the bowl. It doesn't stick to the bowl. It's not liquid. It's almost like a dough, and I've got something that go in chunks. Okay, it falls in chunks, so it breaks. This is ready. And now we're going to leave this to rest for an hour. Okay, while we prepare the oil, and it's going to give time for the flour to really, dissolve, incorporate, and absorb some more of the moisture, so it's really ready when you want to deep fry the whole mixture. But for the resting time, you've got eggs or raw eggs. So what you're going to do first, you're going to use a plastic wrap that touches the batter like this, and keep this in the fridge for an hour, and then we're going to be done. And now for our little deep frying station. When you make small batches, you don't need to take the deep fryer out. Use a pan, about 1 liter, a bit more, 1.2 liters of oil. I'm using sunflower oil, and that's it. Tools of the trade. You need to have always that food thermometer to know the temperature of the oil. Very important for these little donuts, most of the time, 170 degrees Celsius is enough. I've put the equivalent on Fahrenheit on the screen. Use a little thing of those, like a little, something to scoop out. I can't remember how it's called again, like a skimmer or something like this that is heat proof. And of course, we've got the butter. A little tip for the oil. Don't use the oil and throw it away. What I usually do for sweet stuff like this, for donuts, I will use a fresh oil. I'll make the donuts. When I'm done, I let it cool down, put it in a glass jar, and I keep it. And you can use it 3, 4 to 5 times. You stick to the sweet stuff with the sweet stuff. If I make fries or anything savory, whatever, or fish, I'm gonna have another bat of oil, another glass jar with different oils that I keep in my cupboards. But that's pretty much it. Always be very careful with the oil. If you use a pan, make sure the handle is not towards you or someone's gonna bang into it, because that is very dangerous. Of course, no kids around. Take all the safety precaution you can. When I'm ready to go, and what I'm using here is 2 spoons to grab some of the batter in here, okay? And I use the other one to kind of plunge it like this into the oil. The shape doesn't really matter. We do small type of beignets. Okay, moment of truth. So we've got the temperature I've just checked, and because I'm not too sure about how much, I'm gonna start with a little bowl of dough just to try. I like to do a little test first, okay? And see what happens. So very quickly, within 5 minutes, look at this, it starts to puff, it starts to inflate, and that gives me a bit of an idea on how big they're gonna get. Lovely color. Okay, and it's good to do a test with one. So once you've got the one in there, I'm gonna start to be going 2, 3, 4 at a time. Before you start doing more, make sure to rise up the heat, check your temperature, and now we're gonna go bowl of dough after bowl of dough. We're not gonna take any prisoners. We're just gonna make donuts. Roughly the same shape if possible. Okay, 3 at a time should be good. It's looking good. I always love making this kind of beignet thing. There's something exciting about it. It puffs, it rolls, it goes around, changes shapes. It's wonderful. So as you can see, super simple recipe. What's left to do? Virtually, when you put this into sugar, you just roll the whole thing as you do with donuts. And I just love, wash your hand, of course. I mean, look, it's just appetizing. Don't you want to just grab off those and eat them already? Ooh, yes. So here we are, the beignet champenois in all its simplicity. Very, very easy to make, but inside we've got cheese, which is not really the usual. And I just wanted to share with you and show you how does it look inside. Whoop! Look at that. And it's actually quite dense. You see that color? It's really doughy. I like the moisture, but I'm so curious. Okay. Yeah. It's a bit dense and doughy, but you don't feel the cheese that much at all. I'm so surprised. What I like about it, it's not like the classic donuts. You get a contrast because the cheese, is not that sweet. So you get the best of both worlds. A bit like a cake batter / donut. Almost like a custard in a way. With the eggs. Wow, it's really good. Now honestly, like I said at the beginning of the video, this has to be the easiest way to make a donut kind of thing. And 3 ingredients in the fryer, that was already amazing. Now the taste, I'm sure, will absolutely vary with the cheese you use, but I think you can even add things like, zest of lemon in there, oranges, liquor. You can flavor these things. There's no end to the creativity. So go ahead, have a bowl, try all kinds of versions of this beignet, and tell me what you think in a comment. But that's it for this video for this week. I'll see you next time for another video. And if you're celebrating the 14th of July, have lots of fun like we do in France for Bastille Day. I'll see you then.